We are live here on NFL Betting Blitz Week 17 in the NFL. So just this one and one more week to come. And this one's a kind of a tricky week, Eric. We've had a lot of teams already clinched their spots. Only a few teams are still playing. We've already had 6 games in the books between Christmas Day, Thursday, and then Saturday. So 10 games still for this week to discuss. And these are the weeks where you don't want to force it, because we know some teams have motivations. Other teams, maybe they're already kind of checked out. Some teams are still playing strong for next year, for jobs, for trying to keep their coach, or for trying to have a quarterback stay as their quarterback. But these are the weeks where I try not to go all in as much, because we have 2 more weeks and then the playoffs. We still have plenty of opportunities.
I absolutely love weeks like this. I always try to find value, have it being contract incentives for these players.
Yep.
Teams. We saw it last night with the Cardinals. Cardinals mathematically eliminated. Your Rams needed to win to get into pretty much lock up their playoff spot. It's a close game. Cardinals were in a position to win, So interesting.
You saw the McBride touchdown. McBride got his touchdown last night.
Finally got in the box. Unfortunately for me, though, one of my championships games, I had an internal debate about James Conner. Do I play him? Do I not play him? I decided to play him, and I think it's going to cost me just because he really did nothing.
Playing against the guy in the finals who had James Conner too, of one of my leagues. So I was on the opposite end of you. I had Chase on my team, and early in the game, it was a couple things that I was like, this is going against me, because Chase had a catch, and then following that catch, there was a penalty, and it was like a little thing, but it ended up taking 2 points away from me. And then later in the drive, Chase had a touchdown that he dropped. So right there, I'm going, oh no, there was like probably -10 that I could have had.
Yeah, I have Chase on that. I have Chase on that team as well.
Oh my gosh! So you got it on both ends.
Mine is pretty much. I had Sutton, Chase, Connor, and Murray. So I'm going to need some shenanigans.
So what do you? I'm going to need today. A couple big games from some of the boys today.
I need Devontae Adams to do well, and I need Achane and Daniels not to do too hot.
Well, that's a positive, because they keep talking about how they want to get Devontae Adams that touchdown catch for Aaron Rodgers as a milestone. So hopefully at least they'll pepper him for that. Let's get into this week, Eric. We'll talk about a couple things also. Remember, Santa Anita just started up right now. So they'll be racing every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. During the holiday season, they have a couple extra days, like they'll be racing on Wednesday. So at the end of the show, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Pick 6 over there at Santa Anita. And then also, Eric, one of our favorite contests are back. Those Pick'em contests, they're back at Santa Anita. Free to enter, pick'em.santanita.com. So anyone that's watching this show, go pull that website up real quick, pick'em.santanita.com. It's a prop contest, totally free to enter. You fill out the 12 questions. There's a bunch about the football games today, and then a couple about the races at Santa Anita. And Eric actually won one of these last year. So they're not like contests where there's millions of people and you don't know if you're ever going to win. You got a legitimate shot to win this thing. Take a look at that over at pick'em.santanita.com. So Eric, we'll mention throughout the day some of our sponsors and some of our friends, but let's talk about the games right now. We've got the Colts at the Giants. And this is Joe Flacco, right, starting today for the Colts?
Jersey Joe in the house.
And with the Bengals win over the Broncos last night, it kept the Colts alive for the playoffs. So they got to win this week, and then they got to hope for a little bit of help next week. But for them, first things first. Can they get the job done here on the road? This Giants team feels like one of the teams that's really given up. They've been so tough to back. Every week their numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger. I've backed them a few times, but they just don't have a whole lot. Who do we have starting at quarterback for the Giants this week?
I believe it's Locke. This is one of those games I really want nothing to do with.
Nothing
to do with. In one of my DFS lineups, I did put in Jonathan Taylor. Taylor looked like a man possessed last week, trying to get everything out of his system about the fumble and everything. How is that going to transcend? Pittman could be a dart throw in DFS, just because I think he's going to be more of a part of an offense now that you actually have Flacco as a quarterback, someone who will work the inside instead of just working the outside. like Richardson does. In terms of size, though, it's hard trusting the Colts to win with this margin. But on the flip side, it's even
what are
harder.
The Giants playing for?
Giants, just the battle.
Yeah. It just we've tried a few times this year to get to the Giants. It does look like Neighbors will be playing today. That's a positive. One thing I threw in on this game, Eric, and I'll just pull it up to mention right now. On Boom Fantasy, they do this on a lot of these apps. They discounted Jonathan Taylor's rushing total today. So if you ever see those kinds of like free discounts where they bump them way down, I generally jump on them and try to put them into my lineups. I did that right there with Jonathan Taylor. They had it down to over 79.5 rushing yards there. So I went to that just like you. I'm thinking they have Flacco out there today. He hasn't played in a few weeks. When he came in, he played pretty well, but then the last couple of weeks he really wasn't playing well. They don't really want to lean on Flacco. They want to lean on Jonathan Taylor. That's what their team is built on, the run game and Taylor. I expect it to be a big Taylor game today. So yeah, I'd throw him in DFS and prop stuff. But as far as the game is concerned, I have no side, and it doesn't seem like you do either.
Yeah, this could be Flacco's last start ever, though. Remember?
Yeah,
like
you're right.
He could hang her up.
This could be it for Jersey Joe, who's had a pretty good career and a couple of resurgences over the last few years. What do we do here with the Raiders heading to the Saints? Saints are a home dog in this game. So, again, this is another one where we have to talk quarterbacks. For the Saints, who do we have starting here? Are we back to Spence?
Yeah, Spencer Rattler. Look, I know he's going to get a lot of crap, but he made one of the most athletic throws that I have seen in my life, that jump pass on Monday Night Football against the Packers.
It was a tough spot, man. The tough weather and everything.
No, they were moving the ball. They're in position to score a couple times. Every opportunity to get in the back door there. It looks like MVS is going to be coming back, another down the field target. And I think Rattler kind of figured it out. Hey, if I run the ball here, we're actually going to be able to move the ball and do some stuff. Raiders, do you really trust the Raiders with Aiden O'Connor as your quarterback?
Favored on the road? No way. On the road.
No Crosby. I took them here. I got them at plus 1.5.
Me too.
I like the Saints here. I also played Madison over 44.5 yards rushing. Look, we got to face facts. The Saints defensive line is brutal. They're going to be able to move the ball on the ground. They're going to lean on Madison a lot. Plus, with White and the kid from Texas San Antonio being in the IR, it's basically just Madison's backfield because Amir Abdullah is the pass-catching back. I think it's going to be a heavy dose of Madison. I expect the Saints to win this one comfortably. I got him at plus 1.5.
Madison might have saved my season last year because I had Kamara in that league that I was talking about. When he went out, I needed someone else to fill in. I went to Madison. He had a solid game that just kept me right in range and helped me win last week. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the Saints plus money at home. I'm on Madison also as someone who the Raiders will probably have to lean on because they just don't have a whole lot there offensively right now. Any other thoughts on this one before we move to a fun game?
No, I mean, I got Madison. Jacoby Myers is always they're starting to catch on. They're starting to take his prop up a little bit. They lean on him a lot. Bowers is an every other guy. I wouldn't pay up for him in DFS.
One thing to pop up right now, if you're a horse racing fan, there's a Daily Racing Form New Year's sale right now, 15% off. It'll roll all this week through next week. So if you buy past performances, if you play the races at all, head on over to DRF right now. They have a sale that you want to take advantage of all the way through next week. Use that promo code up on the screen. Okay, Eric, Titans at the Jags here. What do we do with this game? It's basically a pick right now. The Jags are hosting the Tennessee Titans, two teams who have just had really bad years. They're kind of already ahead to next year. They're not playing for a whole lot as far as getting into the playoffs, getting into the division. It's kind of on the back end for these two teams who are kind of two of the worst teams in the league.
I mean, for me, I just played the revenge game narrative. Give me Calvin Ridley here over 62.5 yards receiving. Jags run man at the fourth highest rate. Ridley per PFF is the 11th highest graded wide receiver against man coverage. Rudolph starts when Ridley has faced a team where the majority of the time they play man coverage. He's averaging 11.5 targets a game, 5 receptions for 73 yards. So I'm going Calvin Ridley here over the 60, I believe 62.5 yards receiving.
Yeah, this is one of the real stay away games for me. I just have no idea who's going to be motivated in this game at all. So a real stay away for me.
63.5 yards receiving.
63.5 for Ridley.
Yeah.
Are you going to have any round robins today, Eric? We had SportsFact ask you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did. I'll do it at the end.
Yeah, we'll do one at the end for you. And then I hate the Lakers. Hell of a day yesterday. Not if you hate the Lakers, because the Lakers played pretty well last night. Went up and down. Got a win without LeBron.
Did they beat the Kings on Friday?
They beat the Kings last night. They beat the Kings earlier in the week. So they beat them all 4 times this year.
Well, I was just wondering because I knew the Kings fired Brown. I didn't know they got the coach bump.
No, they didn't. They didn't get the coach bump last night. And that was I will say, kind of a small tangent, but if anyone that you want to fire, if you're an owner or whatever, like you have the right to do that. The way they fired Mike Brown, though, they had him come in, he ran practice, he did media, and then they fired him after that, which is just really crappy. Like they got an extra day of labor out of him. And one thing that, and it kind of gave the coaches and it gave the rest of the organization an out because they didn't have to deal with the media that day as much. But what it did, you got to be careful. It really pissed off a lot of the other coaches, guys like Steve Kerr and like really like highly regarded coaches, because that's not what anyone wants. You want, hey, you know what? We're not going in the same direction. Call me at night, tell me in the morning, and then you can handle it the rest of the day. But when you take advantage of someone like that, you're probably not going to get another really great coach to come in there the next time, so you just got to be careful about the way you treat people, even on the way out, because Mike Brown's super respected. He's been around the league for a while. A lot of guys like him. So total tangent.
I mean, the thing is, it's kind of one of those things where if you're a coach and you do well, the expectations are a little higher. They were the 2 seed, and they were a high seed, had the Warriors first round, lost that series.
Yep.
And then the following year, just couldn't match.
Yep.
Couldn't match it. It's just one of those things where everything lined up one year. They got a bad first round matchup, and the Warriors still went 7 games, was in a position to close out the series, couldn't get it done. But grass is always greener on the other side.
Exactly, right? Because before Mike Brown, they weren't even making playoffs. He kind of raised the floor for them. And I'm not even saying that I have a problem with them firing him, just sort of the way you did it, right? The way you got to be a little more respectful with how you treat someone on the way out there. But we'll get to some round robin bets in just a minute. And shout out to Eric for a nice day yesterday. Eric, I know one thing that you and I might be looking to play today in this Jets-Bills game. Aaron Rodgers is looking for his 500th career passing touchdown, and Davante Adams, who was questionable, he wants to play because Schefter tweeted Adams wants to catch the 500th career passing touchdown. He caught Rodgers' 200th and 400th. And for a team like the Jets, who doesn't have anything really to play for, they're playing for milestones like this. They're playing for whatever Aaron Rodgers' future might be. They would love to maybe spoil the, things for their Bills, who are one of their rivals, but the Bills are not really playing for all that much right now either. So I put Adams in a touchdown prop on Boom Fantasy. I'd have no problem throwing him into, any type of DFS. What do you think about this game? Any plays? You playing the Jets?
I definitely need this play. I definitely need Adams. He's in my flex position. I need him to ball out. So definitely need Adams to do something here. In terms of this game, I did bet the Adams. I was able to find the price at plus 155 anytime touchdown. Very adamant, like you said, about wanting to catch 500. And with the way Rodgers is, at any point they get down by the goal line, this is not going to be a Breece Hall touchdown. He is going to audible because he's the one calling the plays. He's going to look to throw it. It's really unique. Like, what's the psyche here of the Bills?
Right.
Chiefs have locked up the one spot. However, because of that week 4 game when the Bills did lose to the Ravens, if the Ravens win next week and the Bills lose at New England, that would drop them down to the 3 line. So kind of like what's the psyche here going into them for that. But at the end of the day, it's just how can we really trust the Bills laying this big of a number? If we just look at their EPA since week 9, EPA 26, pass EPA 31st, Success rate, 29th. They just aren't doing a good job defensively. Allen, 38% ATS as a favorite of 9 points or more. DVOA, Bills 27th defending wide receiver ones, 26th defending wide receiver twos. How are they going to stop Adams and Garrett Wilson? I just think I think this game is going to be a lot tighter. The one thing about Rodgers, I can't stand him. He is arrogant. He is an egotistical,
and he's stubborn. This is the kind of thing he's going to do.
He's looking for he wants nothing more than to come on McAfee and freaking talk about, if we didn't have all these injuries, we'd be right there. We just beat the Bills.
Look at how many one-score games we were in.
He's got the Netflix documentary. He's going to be motivated here just because that's the type of guy he is. He is going to be playing for something. Bills have a lot of injuries defensively. Even if they do, I expect them to lean on the run game more. They are playing a little bit shorter. So, I don't know. I like the Jets here. I got the Jets at +10. I put Adams anytime touchdown +155.
Jets straight up. Heard it here first. Let's make some money with a big call. Make sure you sprinkle a little bit on the money line there if that's going to be your play. Eric, this next game, just like right off the bat, I know Tampa is playing for their postseason hopes. They win here. Atlanta loses. Tampa's right back in, contention and right back into controlling their own destiny. Carolina's been pretty feisty, though. And we have Tampa as a 10-point favorite here over the Panthers.
Yeah, weird line movement here. I got this, I believe, at 8.5. It was at 9, started dip down. I bought it at 8.5. And then this news that Chuba Hubbard isn't going to be playing. Is this kind of the thing where oh my God, Chuba Hubbard's not playing? We need to move this a little bit. Thielen, he's a little bit banged up as well. There could be some weather with a wet ball because they are expecting some rain down there. But I do think the Panthers are going to be able to move the ball. The offense has been looking better. Young has shown why he was a top pick, why he was so highly regarded, making some good throws on the move on it. But to me, if Thielen's not playing, I am a little bit worried just because it is a young receiving core. The one thing that Thielen's able to do that these other guys aren't able to do is kind of read where Young is moving and then put himself in a position
to be that safety.
You know what I mean? He's really good at that. And these other guys are so young, they don't have the experience doing that. Evans, obviously, I said it 4 weeks ago, we want to be ahead of the curves. We were hitting these Evans props when they're over 59, over 62, all the way up to over 82.5 now. That's way too high. I wouldn't suggest playing that. If you were going to bet the Evans prop, DraftKings does offer highest yardage on the day. I'd look to do that. Mayfield and Bulls historically struggle as favorites. Bucks D does have some issues. Baker 39% after a loss. So I don't know. I just kind of like the spot for the Panthers. It's one of the things I like to do. The line movement is a little bit weird. And also, can we trust the Panthers defense? They have been playing a little bit overhead. I got the Panthers +8.5, but with the line movement and everything, I'm not too confident in this play.
Yeah, I'm leaning on the Panthers too. I agree with you. They're not a deep enough team to be missing pieces, but you wonder how much are those pieces worth in the line, right? It's kind of like you're going back and forth. You're like, okay, you usually don't see missing a running back moving things like 2 points like that. But for a team that needs a little bit of help already, we'll see what they can get if they can get the job done at a big number here as a dog. I gave out the Cowboys, Eric, as a play this week. And I know they're without CeeDee Lamb, but the Cowboys I locked it in at 8. They're +7.5 playing against an Eagles team who has Kenny Pickett starting. So we're not going to be talking about Jalen Hurts here. This Cowboys team, when you go through what they've been doing recently, their only recent losses to the Bengals, and why they've been playing better, they've been getting healthier on the defensive side of the ball with guys like Parsons and some of their key defensive pieces coming back. Also, for the way their roster is built right now, Rush is doing a really nice job of not turning the ball over, limiting their turnovers, limiting the possessions overall. They've been running the ball with Dowdle. Might have a tough time running the ball a little bit today. I think there's just a low-scoring game with a low total and a big number. I went to the Cowboys in this side here, hoping they can keep this close in this divisional game. Any thoughts on Eagles, Cowboys.
Yeah, I got this one right off the openers at 9.5. We didn't know what was going on with Hurts. Obviously, as soon as the Hurts news broke, this dropped down at 7 or less. I probably wouldn't play it. If you're able to get to 7.5 or more, I'd look to do it. Do you trust Kenny Pickett laying this big of a number? I don't. And the thing is with Pickett, how this offense is built isn't the type of quarterback Kenny Pickett is. Kind of look how Jalen Hurts plays. Look how Pickett plays. It's trying to fit, what is this? A square
peg in the round hole.
That's kind of what we're doing. I expect it to be a heavy Saquon Barkley game because of that limited possession. It's going to lean on the clock a little bit more. Cooper DeJean, he's kind of been figured out here. Can't handle speed. So I expect them to line up Brandon Cooks in the slot a lot. Look to take advantage of that matchup. Cowboys obviously playing for Mike McCarthy. Dean hurt for the Eagles as well. Eagles are a little bit banged up. And it comes back, like, again, what are the Eagles playing for? You know what I mean? They basically have the 2 seed locked up. They have no path to the 1 seed. They are the other 2 teams. The Rams can't catch them, and the Bucks or Falcons can't catch them. They just want everyone in one piece.
Healthy.
If they get up big here, they are going to put in other people, especially after Hurts got hurt. You know what I mean? Especially after Hurts got hurt.
They don't want like A.J. Brown getting hurt or something like that.
Yeah. So I think anything over a touchdown, you take the Cowboys. Ferguson is a great play in DFS. Rush leans on him. And now with CeeDee Lamb shut down, I think this is in a great spot.
Yep. I'm with you as well. We're on the Cowboys side here. Anything we want the 7, definitely the 7.5. Look for your best number on that one. Miami at Cleveland. So we got the news late yesterday. Doesn't look like Tua is going to be starting in this one, right?
What exactly is wrong with him?
I know. That just didn't hear anything specific.
I really don't even know. Like, I just heard he may not play. Weird game. They obviously, they being the Dolphins, don't really haven't played well. Oh, hurt hip.
There we go.
The offense hasn't played well with no Tua. A lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage, a lot of short throws. Browns are actually good at that. Myles Garrett going against whoever they're going to be running out at quarterback, probably Huntley. Not really a good matchup. Expect a heavy dose of H-in, but Browns have been good against the run. Opposite side of that, DTR. Browns, if there's ever a team that is tanking, it's the Browns. There is no world that
Jameis is the third best quarterback on the team. Right?
DTR is your best option. Real interesting, though, in that snow game against the Steelers, Tillman went out with a concussion, and he hasn't played since. And that really doesn't seem to be getting any talk from anybody. Don't really understand what's going on with him. He did have a concussion last year that kept him out for a couple games. Don't really understand what's going on there. But in terms of this game, this was at 6.5. I was going to bet the Browns until they announced that DTR was going to be starting. When they did that, I just said, I don't want any action in the game, and nothing has changed. Maybe a first half or a first quarter under if I'm really a degenerate, but nothing.
The only thing where I've got is that I'm in a picks pool that locks the number at certain times. So I was able to get Cleveland +6 in this game. So I'm just going to sit there with that and play the Cleveland side plus the 6 here because you got the better of the number with 3 points. But at 3, nothing really for me to jump on into here. And was so disappointed when we saw Miami play earlier in the year without Tua. They didn't seem like Green Bay when Green Bay was playing with Willis, or they didn't seem like some of these other teams that were able to really get their backups prepared. We saw Kevin O'Connell do a great job last year with backup quarterbacks and do a great job this year with Sam Darnold. They just haven't done that with McDaniel over there in Miami. So I'll stay away from this one. As we move to one of the biggest games of the week, you've got the Packers and the Vikings. The Vikings are a slight 1-point favorite at home in here. Packers have been getting kind of more buzz the last few weeks because defensively they played better. They've been more impressive on the scoreboard than the Vikings, but they're kind of two different teams. The Vikings are a little bit more like the Chiefs, where they don't blow you out, but they execute really well down the stretch. It's kind of a Kevin O'Connell thing, and we got to give Sam a lot of credit. He's been really good in big moments down the stretch. For this Vikings team, getting a lot of love, though, right now, going on the road and playing Minnesota. I just think these are two pretty good teams. It's a very good matchup here, and they're both still playing for something. They can move up their positioning, and there's an outside shot that the Vikings can move all the way up to the number 1 seed with a loss from the Lions.
Really have no idea what to do here. Packers probably going to run the ball. Probably going to pass the ball, but which wide receiver are you going to lean on? It's always roulette with them. Who is it going to be? Witz? Is it going to be Dobbs? Is it going to be Watson? Is it going to be Reed? Are they going to go to Musgrave? So it's really hard to trust the Packers with who they're going to do it. Obviously, in one of my DFS lineups, with that being said, I did play Jordan Love at my quarterback position. Vikings, I expect a heavy dose of Aaron Donald. If I were to bet this game, I'd probably look at an Aaron Donald touchdown. Didn't get one last time. Definitely needed one against the Packers. Put them in position to score a couple times. They didn't go to them. I just don't. These are two teams I really don't trust. I know everyone's trying to make the Packers into the Super Bowl contender, but they have some holes in the trenches. I don't trust Jacobs. I don't trust Love not being able to turn over the ball. And the other side is Sam Darnold. Is this a fluke season? Or is this the guy everyone thought he was going to be? I lean toward kind of a fluke season. We've seen his numbers dip a little bit in the second half. We've seen the Flores defense dip in the second half because teams are getting used to it. So I'm just going to sit back. These are two teams I'm going to look to fade in the playoffs, but I don't want anything to do with this game.
I've gotten the opposite with Sam. I think in watching his play, I think he had a great start to the year, and then the dip you were talking about started to happen in the middle of the season, and that's where I was getting worried. We're like, okay, he had about 6 or 7 weeks. Now he's starting to struggle. I think he kind of hit like a wall and went back up again. What I really like, what I've seen from him, he's able to do things a lot of quarterbacks aren't able to do, where they give him this rope where it's like, hey, Sam, go out there, make a couple mistakes. That's fine. Our defense is good. We just need you to make a big play or two down the stretch. And it's like he has one of the short-term memories that I think a lot of quarterbacks can't have, right? You have think about when Sam Darnold was playing with the Jets and he talked about seeing the ghost and everything. He seems like he's got a different mindset now. He's just reminding me more of the USC guy, where it's like, okay, made a mistake, shake it off, get right back. Like, I got the big arm. I can move with my feet. He's got the tools. That's what's nice about him. For him, it's been more of the mental. Mentally, is he strong enough? And I think just getting the confidence week in, week out, playing with a team like this and a coach like this who's really good. I don't know how many other spots Sam Darnold would have looked like this in, but I'm believing in the Sam Darnold in this spot. And I just think in this game, they're a little undervalued. I think these are two really evenly matched teams. I think you're getting a little bit of value with the Vikings here because the Packers have kind of turned into this kind of darling, buzzy team that I think a lot of people are picking to win the NFC now. So I'm going to lean Vikings in what is a really, really good game this week, probably the biggest game of the week. Just 2 more to discuss for us, Eric. We've got Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. Atlanta Falcons at the Washington Commanders. Washington, a 3.5-point favorite in this game. So Atlanta, with Penix starting last week, they were able to win, and Atlanta now back to controlling their own destiny. But a tough spot for them, because if they lose here, Tampa wins. Tampa's a 10-point favorite. It puts Tampa right back in control. So Atlanta is playing. Give us a quick thought on, Penix last week and anything in this particular game. This number's moved. It was like 5 the other day, right?
Yeah, it's moved a little bit. It's one of those things with Penix. It's against the Giants. How much can you really?
What do you take out of it, right? Yeah.
It was a huge step up in class. I know the Commanders, defensively they do have their issues in the back 4 and the front 4, but it is a Quinn defense against the rookie on the road where it's supposed to be raining. That's a little tough for me to kind of get behind the Falcons. Flip side, it's just Commanders. How can I word this? Daniels is just, in my eyes, and I know stat-wise, and everyone lives in the fantasy world, and they say, oh, wow, he scored over 20 points. He had a good game. Just, he always starts bad, and then they're playing from behind, and he puts up good numbers. That's just the Jaden Daniels way. That's just
and for example, last week, I will give him credit because he took them on a game-winning drive, but people don't want to talk about how he got 2 chances. He actually had the first chance to go on what they thought was going to be their final drive. He missed every throw, looked awful. The Eagles got the ball, and Devontae Smith dropped what would have put the game away. Again, those are all things that happen. So if we want to give Daniels a lot of the credit, we have to mention that he got very lucky to get a second chance.
He's just very inconsistent in what he does. He's like this. There's no straight line. Brian Robinson, maybe a bounce back. Like for me, like I know I'm talking about my fantasy a lot. It came down to Brian Robinson or Connor. And I went with Connor, and I just
so now Brian Robinson, the mindset.
Now I know Brian Robinson is probably going to have 135 yards.
I'm throwing him in as my captain.
But it's just one of those things. Falcons defensively have so many issues. It was kind of interesting, the Falcons game, when you rewatch it. You can kind of tell they've changed their back concept so much. They're doing a thing where both people playing cover 2, and then one half was playing man, the other half was playing zone, and then they went back to playing cover 2. These guys are so lost defensively, so that's why the stuff is happening against the Vikings. When those guys were falling down, because these guys don't know what's going on, because they just keep on changing what they're doing, trying to catch lightning in the bottle. So that being said, how can you trust this defense? If anything, I'd probably play some Terry McLaurin props, but I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me too. I just can't get I'm not there with Atlanta yet. I need to see more from Penix. This is a big game for him. This is like you said, playing last week, early game against the Giants. Totally different than Sunday Night Football at Washington. Even though Washington, like you said, their defense isn't amazing, but they're led by a defensive coordinator as their head coach, a defensive scheme guy, and they're playing a playoff team who's going to put pressure on them offensively at least, right? So for Penix, if Washington scores twice, are you going to be able, with the pressure on you now, are you going to be able to go down there and execute? Last week, so much different. There was no pressure on you in that situation. So I would be looking at maybe like some Penix turnover props, because I could see him having to force a little bit there, at least on a couple drives. This Monday Night Football game, Eric, final game of the week. When they scheduled this game, probably thought this was going to be a game between two of the best teams in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, they probably envisioned this being the game for battling for the 1 seed. Battling for the 1 or 2 seed. Obviously, it comes down to the psychology factor. If the Falcons lose, the Lions, if they win, have the 1 seed locked up. But if the Falcons win, this game is essentially useless for Detroit.
Vikings.
If the Vikings win, this game is essentially useless for Detroit. Yeah. Campbell is kind of a crazy dude, but with how many injuries they have, if that does happen, how much is he?
Why are they playing anybody? Why?
Yeah. And so so
you got to kind of wait to see what happens in the Vikings game, right? Before you make a decision on this game.
And there's so many, both these teams have so many injuries. And it just kind of shows you, when you look at this dominance that this 49ers team has had over the last couple of years, this run that they have maintained, they're kind of like the modern day Bills, a team that historically just makes it deep in the playoffs, making it to a couple Super Bowls, coming up on the short end. And now they just contract situations, injuries, touches adding up, personal issues off the court, off the field, excuse me. And it just was a lost season from them. Lynch is a smart guy. They're obviously going to reload, get some more talent in there, probably look to move Debo, one of their young running backs. But in terms of this game, if I'm watching the game and the Vikings start to pull away a little bit, I'll look to kind of bet a little bit on the 49ers so I can still get over the 3.5. But again, one of those games really, really tough to bet anything. And my championship's going to come down to Kittle. I'm going to need Kittle to do big.
So, Eric, as we finish up here, I want to pull a couple things up just to show some of the folks out there who are watching. Oh, this is Falcons straight up, Commanders no answer for Bijan. Okay.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And thought on the Odd Jams lawsuit. Thoughts on that?
That's going to be really interesting. That should be really, really interesting how that plays out. Those documents are an interesting read.
So, Eric, for me,
Oddjam could be in legitimate trouble, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. We'll revisit that as we get more information on that. So, a couple things to mention. Here is my Boom Fantasy entry, Eric. Let the folks out there know if they want to get some action today. How do they sign up for Boom Fantasy? What's our promo code?
It is promo code ETOFT21. For those watching right now, there is a QRL code in the bottom corner. If you just scan your phone on that, it will actually use our code and take you right to it. You can go log in, deposit, do your thing. And obviously, look here, I got Davante Adams at plus 155. Gino got him at 2.26x. So obviously, you are going to be getting a little better value with a Davante Adams touchdown if you can find someone you want to pair him with.
And you can use the QR code right there in the bottom. Before we get out of here, Eric, I want to mention a couple more things. This is the website for the Pick'em contest. Like everyone out there, set a little alarm to remind yourself. These are every Saturday and every Sunday for the next 4 months. So, I mean, you might as well take a swing at these. Look at some of the props. It's pretty simple. Like if you're kicking back today, the tiebreaker, total yards combined in the Vikings-Packers game, right? Pick the winner of Santa Anita race number 1. Dolphins minus 6.5, Browns plus 6.5. Because this was a few days ago, let's go Browns plus 6.5 because it's only 3 right now. Packers, Vikings over under. Vikings, Packers. I'm going to lean Vikings. Once you make your pick, it alerts you and it lets you know what pick you've made. I'll even give you one here, Santa Anita, race number 5. I'm going to go to the number 8, Rascality. Love that horse. That's going to be one of my singles in the pick 6 sequence. So go all the way through. There's only 12 of these prop questions to answer. Which defense will record the most sacks? Dolphins, Browns, Vikings, Packers, Falcons, Commanders. So a lot of NFL-related props in here. Doesn't cost you anything, free to enter. Eric, that's one of the best ways that we can build a bankroll when you're not losing anything.
Freeze
free. And then I want to give one more look to a few folks out there. Here is a look at the daily racing form past performances. And if we take a quick run through some of the races today, I'm going to put in a pick 6 ticket. Santa Anita has gone back to the old traditional $2 pick 6. What does that mean? Makes it a little more expensive for us betting, but the payouts are way, way bigger because the pools are bigger because not as many people can use as many horses. So you have to be a little bit more creative and you have to take a stand here and there. So the 4th race today is where the pick 6 starts. A couple of horses that I'll be using. Audible Silence, the 1. The 6, Jazz Spot, is a first-time starter who is training really well in the mornings. The 8 is a horse who loves to finish 2nd and 3rd. The 9, Bruckner, probably the horse to beat in that race. I wanted to give the folks out there a couple races where I really have a pretty strong opinion. And one of them is in race number 5. We just looked at that horse, Rascality. I followed this filly earlier in the year. Her races on the grass, sprinting, really, really good. She's 4-1 on the morning line. I'm going to single her in the pick 6, and I'll give you one more race for the folks out there. Race number 9 today, which is the last race on the card. Hopefully you're alive in some of these big exotics. The number 3, Guilty of Having Fun. She was awesome in her 2nd start, and this trainer, he's the type of trainer, Eric, it kind of like if you had a coach who the coach doesn't necessarily have the team always ready in week 1 and week 2, but then by the end of the year, they've made adjustments. That's what this trainer does with horses that make their 2nd and their 3rd start. They're always way better. That's Andy Mathis. So that's the 3, Guilty of Having Fun. So for anyone who's kicking back today, playing some of the races, good luck. I'll be firing away at Santa Anita with the pick 6. Eric, we're coming up on the new year, man. It was another great year talking football with you. I think this is year 4 for us, where you've been helping me on the podcast. We've been doing NFL betting blitz. We've done work for different places through the year. Oh, Eric, before we get out of here, round robin from you.
I did a touchdown score. I did Ridley, Devontae Adams, Alexander Madison, and Jake the Snake Ferguson. Did it by 2s and then 1-4.
There we go. So that's the round robin. Sports facts. Adirondack Schiller. Let's make some money. I hate the Lakers. Great to hear from all of you. We will be back next week for NFL Week 18. NFL Betting Blitz right here at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Hope all of you have a fantastic new year. Good luck with all your plays today. Anything else to mention before we get out of here, buddy?
No, good luck. Happy New Year. And, let's keep the train going.
Absolutely. So one more week and then we'll roll right into the playoffs. Hope it's a good week 17 for all of you.